I wanted to tell you my story about how I hurt my back. Al, it's a little more interesting than yours because I come up here and I have.
You don't think my shower story is interesting, Jay?
No, that's a sign that we need to change something.
Well, he didn't. The way he told me the story, Jace, before you tell your backstory, he said I was taking a shower, and I'm like, "What did you fall? What? No, I lift up my foot.
I lifted up. I was trying to wash my foot, but it was a hotel shower, so like mine has a thing you can put your foot on, but I'm having to try to get to my feet, and I just got put in the wrong position, and I mean instantly, it was just like reverberating pain right through the lower back. And I realized at first I thought it was just a catch, but then I thought, no, it's not going away. Luckily, I was in the shower, so I turned the water up to hot and just to try to loosen it up a little bit so I could get out of there. But it's taken me days to get over.
Well, in the spirit of Phil's famous story that after I saw him sink a boat in icy waters with a lot of large men, Phil's assessment of the situation in time as the boat was sinking and I was watching in another boat, he said, too many honey buns, too many honey buns.
That's what
as
he said.
Gurgled the water going down, it was too many honey buns.
I knew how deep the water was, and so it was pretty deep, but I still had my waders on. I just went on down to the bottom. Kind of held my motor up where it wasn't.
But Dad, it was classic because the boat is sinking. People are flailing. They're having a crisis, and yet you're assessing blame. The reason is you're all too fat.
Yeah.
There was some heavy ones in there.
That was the battle cry of that boat.
Welcome to our childhood.
We drained it out.
Blame, and then
I ran it up on a log, drained it out. I cranked it back up because I had held it up, and I just could do it, but I mean, so we went on with the hunt.
Well, so for some of our listeners, I wasn't making fun of Al. I'm just saying, as a Robertson, you were,
but it's okay. I have very thick skin.
It's accountability. It is,
and most of it's fat. So
start stretching and doing some exercise.
I got to stretch before I shower now. Oh, well, that's what I said in the sermon, Jace. It was like I remember when you would do feats of strength and test your metal, and we're going to go hike and do this. Now it's just I'm down to having to stretch before showering. I mean, that's where things are.
So I haven't been to my farm in a while, and my son lives here. And when I say farm, we have chickens and goats, and of course we have a lot of just animals that think our place is a farm. So we have deer in the yard and turkeys. I mean, it's quite the wildlife scene. But we've had to move our goats from one area of the property to another because they've basically killed all my trees. Goats can be destructive, which is why they're here. We have so much underbrush here that the goats actually, they do a good job, but you have to move them from time to time. So my son was in charge of it, and the last time I was here, we had 8 goats, and he told me that we now have 21, which they're just being fruitful and multiplying. He got all the goats in the new pen except a mama and 2 real little ones that have just been born. And he said he's tried for weeks. And we were worried that, a coyote would get the little ones. So I said, well, let's go do it. And he's like, Dad, we're not going to get those goats in the pen. I said, we're getting those goats in that pen today. So me and him take off, and Missy was flanking us just to try to get some of this on camera. We finally run up on the mom and the 2 little ones. So, what do you do? Because you're trying to get them 500 yards away into an open pen. And so what we did was we zeroed in on the 2 little ones. But what started was an hour of chasing on rocky, slick, mud-filled mountainside terrain. And, I fell a couple times, but what would happen is we would get one of these little goats hemmed in, and I'm telling you, the lateral quickness of a baby goat is insane. Because twice I had the goat hemmed up, and it literally broke my ankles. So I would have the little baby goat hemmed up, and it would just put a stop and go move and I would fall down, which was embarrassing because I went to get
Somebody
it.
should have been filming this.
Oh, Missy was. I'm sure there's footage. The problem is when we would catch the little goats, which we did. Cole caught one and I caught one because then we thought, well, if we have the babies and we put them in the pen, then the mama goat will gravitate toward the new pen, which is exactly what happened. The problem with filming all this is when we caught the baby goat, all we did was just catch them. You would have thought we were sticking a knife in them because it was just a blood-curdling scream that sounded like you're torturing me. So Cole would say, turn the camera off. We were not hurting the baby goats, but it sounded like the worst sound that you could hear in the woods. It was like, I'm dying.
They say it's like a kid screaming is what it sounds like.
That's what it sounded like. And so finally we get the mama goat near the pen. And it runs off in the woods again. And I said, Cole, go in there. Because it's a forest that if the goats hadn't been eaten around, I mean, it is a forest. You disappear. And I said, Cole, get in there and push her out. And he's like, Dad, that place is a tick magnet. I'm not going in. And he's old enough now to where I can't order him what to do. He's 25 years old.
Yeah.
So and he can move faster than you can.
I said, I'm going in. So I went in and I stumbled up on the goat, and because it was literally, I couldn't see 5 feet in front of me. And so we started jockeying for position now because she's, I would say, 200 pounds. And so her mobility wasn't like the baby goats. And so I kind of had her hemmed up and she just bolted toward the fenced in pen at top speed. So when she hit the fence, it was like a slingshot, but when her horns went through one of the squares, well, it was like a fish going into a hoop net. They can get in easily, but they can't get back out because of the fins. And so she was hung up in the fence. So I went up there. Yeah, I had her. Well, you would think that it's over, but it actually wasn't because I said, Cole, I can't get these horns out. Well, we literally had to get a pair of wire cutters because she hit the fence with such authority. Like how her horns got through the fence was a minor miracle. So I cut the fence, get her head out. But as soon as she got her head out, we weren't expecting. Well, she just thought, well, I'm taking off. Well, I just grabbed a hold and rode a goat. For about 30 yards, I was just being dragged through the woods. Somewhere in there is where the back injury occurred. And I finally grabbed her back legs and I basically dragged her to the pen, which we had another moment of turn the camera off because you would have thought I'm torturing the goat, but I was not hurting her. I was gently dragging her. She was on her front legs and she was walking. I was just walking her back. And what's funny about how the story ended, so I finally put her in the pen, and she just laid over like she was dying. And I was like, now you're not going to get up? She just laid there with her eyes like bulged out like, I cannot believe that you put me through this whole thing. And then her two little ones came up, and she stood up. There was nothing wrong with her, and they went off into the sunset of the new pen. But then I hadn't been able to walk for 2 days after that.
So you're right, Jase. Your story is much more interesting.